Hello guys and welcome back to my channel The VI Masters. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you about a very interesting topic in Microsoft Fabric, and this is called the data mesh. What is data mesh? Why it is important for your organization? How you can implement data mesh in the organization? These are the topics that is really going to be very helpful as a part of your learning. And this is going to really boost up, your understanding about Microsoft Fabric. And I'll show you how what data mesh, how it works, and how what you can do with that. But before we do that, if you're new to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe. I would recommend to watch this video to the end because this is a very interesting one. I have also done a video on Microsoft data agents, what is about Microsoft Fabric. So please, I would recommend you to watch, the videos that I've done earlier. And for people who don't know me, my name is Prathamesh. I've been working on Microsoft technologies for around 17 plus years into the space of data engineering, business intelligence, and analytics as well. And without any further delays now, let's do one thing. Let's deep dive right into what data mesh is and how it works. Before we dive into data mesh, I would just want to quickly give you a glance of what Microsoft Fabric architecture looks like. So you have data sources, so where you have data coming from multiple sources. It could be databases, flat files, data coming in from data storage Gen 2 or APIs. You will take this data, ingest this data into Fabric in lakehouses and warehouses, which follows a typical Medallion architecture of bronze, silver, and gold. And this data is then further consumed by various solutions via Power BI. You can use SQL to query your data. You can use APIs or third-party tools to consume this data. So this is typically how Microsoft Fabric architecture looks like. What other thing that you need to really ensure when you're working on Fabric is, you have to orchestrate that using pipelines, data flows, Gen 2, Spark notebooks for transformation. You can leverage Power BI semantic models or SQL endpoints to consume your data. So this is how a typical Microsoft Fabric works like, and all this data within the Fabric gets stored into OneLake. So OneLake is your centralized repository where everything gets stored, and now from OneLake you can go and distribute that to multiple people within the organization, and this is where typically data mesh helps you. Now, what data mesh actually is? So data mesh is a decentralized architecture that helps the business organize the data into different functions. So for example, you have multiple departments in the organization like HR, finance, sales, and you can go ahead and create your own data, or I would say, you can store your own data within your own area for your own department. So this is where Microsoft Fabric helps the data mesh by introducing domain based grouping for decentralized governance. So you can have a domain for HR, you can have a domain for sales. So within once a domain is created, you can assign workspaces within the domain to kind of tag the data that you want to ingest into for a particular department. And this is always linked to a specific workspace. So overall, you can leverage the full features of Microsoft Fabric and assign it to a specific department. This will basically help you understand within a specific organization what kind of data is being used across different departments, and not this helps you basically govern the data at a more federated level as well. So even though it's decentralized architecture, but it is centrally governed by the Fabric tenant as well, Fabric administrator. So this is how a typical data mesh architecture looks like. So you have source data, as we spoke about the Fabric architecture. You ingest, transform, everything gets stored into OneLake. You can use multiple activities like copy, jobs, pipelines, notebooks. Now once you're into OneLake, you can also create your own domains, as we spoke for the to enable the data mesh architecture. So you can have multiple domains, and within multiple domains you can have your own bronze, silver, and gold by using Fabric, which you can push data back to OneLake. And this is where typically you can build your reports, you can build your lake houses. And within this, once you specifically create all the domain architecture that's referenced, you will have a domain admin. You'll have a workspace administration who will be the domain contributor. You will have the domain administrators who will be basically controlling that domain. And on top of that, you will have a Fabric administrator who controls the entire tenant. So in this way, it's decentralized but federated. The other thing that is very helpful about the data mesh is you can use your own data as a product within your domain. So for example, if I'm using finance, I can use my financial data as a product. A report can be a product. I can share that within my organization. So I can have it centralized. I'll have one single source of truth. Now on top of this, as I mentioned, the specific Fabric, or if I take example of finance, I can go ahead and have a finance domain administrator who will control the entire finance data, what's going in, what needs to be served out, and so on. So for the for the finance users, it will be much more on, I can share the data and they can create self report. So basically self server infrastructure is also benefited. So this helps you build a better center of excellence. And since we spoke about the federated governance, we will have the more federated governance over the tenant. So ownership lies at all levels. You will have administrator levels on the fabric tenant, you will have a domain level admin, and you have a workspace level admin. So this is a really a very good example or a good architecture where which helps you understand how data mesh works in Microsoft Fabric. What we are going to cover as a part of the demo today is we'll build in domains, we'll assign domain owners, we'll create workspaces for that specific domains, and once the domains are created, we'll create some basic artifacts, and we can then show you how you can share objects across cross domains. So let's do one thing, let's begin with the demo. So we are in the Microsoft Fabric right now, and I'm going to talk to you about how you can create a data mesh architecture using domains in Microsoft Fabric. So I'm going to talk about two personas or two different users. So one is the administrator who is, or the tenant admin who has the full control over it. And I will have a second persona as a domain admin and the workspace admin and the user. So this is how I'm going to work across. So this is the Fabric administrator or the Fabric tenant admin, and this is my user admin where you can see my photo. So as a domain admin or as a tenant admin, I will have access to the admin portal. So for me to create a domain at the tenant level, if you do not have access, you can request your Fabric tenant admin to create a domain for you. So I'll go into the settings, I'll go into the admin portal, and on the left hand side, I see a domain. Now you can see there's a few domains that we've already created. Now I'll create a new domain for this demo purposes. I'll create a new domain as data mesh, and I can assign an admin. I'll not do it for now, but let's create a domain named data mesh. The moment I created a domain, now the next step is going into the data domain, the data mesh domain, and assigning a workspace. Now I'm a new area, I'm a new department who is going to handle data mesh, for example, or now I don't have a workspace. So instead of assigning a workspace from here, I can go into my workspace and create a new workspace. Now I can make this name as data mesh, workspace name as data mesh, and here I can go and assign a domain. I can, if you see, I see the data mesh. Now I will add a data mesh here, and I can describe this workspace for demo, and I click on apply. Now once I create this, I now have my domain created, and this is assigned to a data mesh. Now how would I know that? Against the workspace, you will see this new icon, and this icon will help you identify which particular domain the workspaces are a part of. I'll go into other workspaces. So if I go into accelerator, it shows this is a part of the accelerator domain. I show HR, it shows a part of HR domain, and so on. So I go to the workspace domain here, data mesh. So if I move up, data mesh, this is a part of my data mesh domain. I can also go and pin this to the top. So now when I look at my pinned workspaces, I can see these are the main workspaces assigned to domains. In this way, you can create domains. Now I go back to my administration admin portal. Now I want to assign a user. I want to assign this a user. Now if I'm this user here, and if I go into my OneLake catalog as a user, now for me to understand what domains I am being assigned to, here on the top I see the domain. So I can go and see which domains my data is under. So if I want to see what is under my accelerator domain, I can quickly see, okay, these are my accelerator domain, this is my HR domain, and so on. Now my whole intent is here on the Microsoft Fabric under domains, I assign my user data mesh as an admin to this domain. So I can come into the admin section here, and I can just assign my name, and I click on apply at the bottom. Now once I do that, now I've been assigned a domain admin, but I still will not be able to access the workspace because I'm just an admin of this domain. Now for that, under the workspace, I need to also assign myself as assign this new user as a workspace admin or a contributor. So I'll come into the workspaces, I'll come into the data mesh workspace here, and I'll go to the workspace access, and I'll add myself as a user here. So I'll add myself as a admin for now because I can go and create, or I can add myself as a contributor. For now I'll keep myself as admin. So I add myself here. Now once I add myself as an admin and I go back to my domain here, I would still not be able to see the domain. So if I go to the workspace and if I go and refresh this page, just refreshing it again, I would still not be able to see myself here because the reason behind this is there are no artifacts within the domain. So if I come back to OneLake catalog, I still see nothing in here. So what I will do now is I'll come back to my data mesh, and in the new item, I will now go and create a artifact. Let's create a lake house. So I create a lake house. I name this, LH underscore data mesh, and I go and create a lake house. Now the moment I create a lake house within this particular domain and the workspace data mesh, and I go to my user, and if I go and refresh this user space now I would see a data mesh, because now within the data mesh I have an artifact. So this is how data mesh works. So it's just not you create a domain and you assign a workspace to it, it's done. The moment you start adding artifacts and you start assigning it to the users, whatever new artifacts you created will be automatically showcased to the users. So this is one way of working with data mesh. You can create multiple data meshes, subdomains and so on with the users. Now second thing, once you have the access, I've got the access to the lake house and so on, everything is all good. What I want to do is within this lake house data mesh, as an admin, I'm going to create another domain. Now I'm going to talk about cross sharing. Now let's take a scenario. I'm creating a domain. I go to the admin portal, and within this admin portal I'm going to create one more domain, and this is going to be data mesh cross share for now. And I'm not going to give the user, the other user Prathamesh, as a access to this domain, but I want to share data with him. Now, this is my main admin area, who is the owner. Now, I'm going to create one more workspace, new workspace, and I name this workspace as data mesh data share. And I assign this to a data mesh cross share domain, and I click apply. Now, within this, I create a new item. I create this new item as a lake house, and I say data share, and I create. Now imagine this is your HR department and I want to share the data with any other users. So what I can do is within this data mesh, within the data share lake house, I will go and upload a new file. So I'll go and upload a file here. I have a sample project data. I'll go and load this file in, and I click on upload. So this gets uploaded, and on top of this I'll create a table. I'll use this, and I'll say load to tables into new tables in the same lake house. And this is going to create my table within the data share lakehouse within the cross share domain. And still my second user that I have here is not having access to that workspace or that data share. So if I come here, there's no workspace, there's no domain in the lakehouse, the other one that we have created. So if I'm going to my admin catalog here, I'll see data mesh cross share as a domain. If I come here, I go to the lakehouse data mesh data share, I see the table is created. Now what I can do is I can go and share this lakehouse from the data mesh cross share workspace, data share workspace here. I will share this with the second user, with the user that I have, which is Prathamesh. So I'll go and share this with the user, and I'll say read all SQL endpoint, build reports, and I'll grant access to this. Now once I grant access, okay, I am still into my workspaces here for Prathamesh, and I still can't see the lakehouse here. The reason behind this is if I come here, I don't see that sharing because I have not added the user to a workspace. So understand this very clearly that even if you share data, the user is still not going to get access unless you add him to the workspace. But once you give him access, he gets everything. And I don't want to do that. I want to have another artifact in the data share domain. I want to have a warehouse. Okay. And I just don't want that new warehouse to be accessible to that person. Now I have two artifacts, warehouse 1 and warehouse 2. Sorry, lakehouse 1 and warehouse. within the data share domain. Now in this way I can definitely go and control what data I want to share with users. One thing I can do here is, since I've shared the data, so I have this particular lake house and this lake house has, one table. Now for me, which is the user, which is Prathamesh, I want to bring that data. So for example, I have this data mesh lake house, which for example, it is going to be a consolidated lake house of all other data that I want to bring in from other, other workspaces or domain which I have access to. What I can do is I can create a shortcut because I have access to it. So to do that, once I'm into my lake house, so let the lake house load. This lake house is loaded now. What I can go ahead and do is I can go and create a new shortcut. So I can come here, right click on this three ellipses, not right click, ellipse, three ellipses, create a new shortcut, and it will launch the shortcut wizard. So this shortcut wizard will help me select from where I want to create shortcuts to, because now the administrator has given me access to that data mesh warehouse. So if you see, I have the lake house here. So ls data mesh. So I can quickly go and check the lakehouse, which is data share. I can quickly go and see which particular where lakehouse I access to. I think so that is data share. So I can go into the data mesh, and within data mesh there's nothing, but which is my cross share, this is my data mesh data share. I can quickly come here to this and I can go and check the workspace access. No one. I go and lakehouse and then say manage permissions. I see I have this data share. Now I come to my lakehouse here, and if you see, I have a data share lakehouse that I've been given access to. On the top I see where everything that I have access to, but here I see data share. Now I click on data share, I select next. Now under the tables, I should be able to see the tables that we had created in the data share lakehouse. Now I don't have to bring everything, I have to just select this particular table only. The moment I select delta log, it brings everything, but I have to just select this table, and I click next. I select this, I click create. Now it will create a shortcut basically within this table itself. Now in this way, my lakehouse data mesh is having a shortcut from the data share data. So data share where lakehouse. So in this way, I will be able to cross share. So this is very helpful if I'm doing data science. So if I go and check the properties of the shortcut, it'll give me sample project, and this is the actual path. So it gives me an idea where I can go and share my data with external users. Similarly, I can go and also bring in data from other lake houses as well. So for example, I come to my lake house, I come to my uh, probably to my manufacturing lake house. So let me just go to the admin, and from the admin I have a manufacturing, and from here I can go and go and give access to this particular data, or to this particular domain, to that user. So I will add myself from the admin portal under domains as admin. I'm here already here, and I can check whether I have access to this. I don't have. So once the moment I go and add myself as a user, I can change this to admin. I can go back and I can change myself to admin, and I come back to my user persona here. So now I'll be able to see domain as a manufacturing as well. So I can see the workspace and I can see the domain as well. In this way, I should be able to go ahead and access my data within the organization. I can cross share that, especially very helpful for data scientists. So if I see manufacturing here as well. So in this, one of this is very important when you are going to cross share data within the organization, and when you're going to work on data which you want to share. You can also go and endorse, like for example, I am as an administrator, I am going to use my other domain, and like this manufacturing, and I have endorsed this as promoted. So within my OneLake catalog, once I go to endorsed, I'll see if there's anything that is endorsed. I can click on all domains. So here I can see the items that are endorsed for me as well. So I can go and what are the endorsed items that we have done for the organization. I can go into the reports, all types, and I'm able to see the reports under the manufacturing domain that have been endorsed as well. So in this way, you can make the content discoverable, you can share data, and this is how typically data mesh is going to work like. And that's it from the demo. I hope you kind of like the demo. And let's go back to the main Prathamesh that you have there. Well, thank you, Prathamesh, for giving me the video, the smaller one, not the big one. The big one is here. So thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you really found this, video interesting. You got to understand what data mesh is, how you can, create domains within the organization. You can load in your content or data using Microsoft Fabric. You can cross share the data within the domains so that users can access that without duplicating the data. So the whole idea about data mesh is, to avoid duplication. So that's the very, very core message that I want to give you from this topic. And if you really like this video, please subscribe to my channel. Let me know what more videos you want me to do, and I'll try my best to do that. I'm going to go a little off in terms of doing something different in Microsoft Fabric on the concepts. So please let me know what you would like. And until then, thank you so much, guys. You have a really good weekend, and cheers. Thanks, guys.